And Mexico does what we tell them to do, and Canada does what we tell them to do, because we have the two borders. We have the northern border, the southern border, and they were both horrible.
At this hinge moment, Canada is deepening our relationships with our long-standing partners, partners that share our values and aspire to a better, fairer, and more sustainable world. Mexico is central to those missions. And our agreement today will expand and deepen that partnership so that the next 30 years hold even greater promise than the last 30 years have delivered. Today, we're beginning a new era of elevated cooperation with a comprehensive strategic partnership. We will scale up our engagement in foreign affairs, in trade and investment, in agriculture, natural resources, in energy, finance, health, the environment, and public safety and security.
Mexico and Canada have just joined together to create something called the Northern Corridor. This is a trade agreement to actually bypass the United States. And apparently this agreement will make the US economy lose $125 billion. And it will add billions of dollars to Mexico and Canada's economy.
For decades, America was the anchor of North America. Canada and Mexico didn't move without checking in with Washington first. But this week, something historic happened. Canada and Mexico are meeting directly without the US, and no one's talking about it. They're aligning on trade, energy, security ahead of the 2026. In plain words, they're preparing a common front before America even walks into the room. Why? Because Trump's tariff threats and isolationist America first policies have backfired. Instead of making America indispensable, they've made allies hedge against US unpredictability. This is how influence is lost. Once partners realize they can build alliances without you, they'll keep doing it. America is no longer the default center of gravity. And the result? A quieter but very real loss of US power in its own neighborhood. And it's happening not through war, but through diplomacy. The world isn't waiting for America anymore. And we should be paying attention to this. This is significant. This is very significant.
So some good news for Canada and Mexico. So yesterday in Mexico City, Canada and Mexico signed an agreement to deepen economic ties between the two countries. This deal includes a plan to build infrastructure, specifically ports, rail, and also energy corridors. There is an agricultural element which they're going to look at in a few months as well, which will include increase in shipments of canola and also potash to Mexico from Canada. Folks, the source for this is the Canadian Press.
The U.S. cut off beef trade with Mexico. We know that. Did you know that a lot of the trade deal that they just signed with Canada is for the beef? Canada is willing to take the beef that we won't take from Mexico. So what they've done is they've negotiated how they're going to put the beef on boats and just go around the United States and then get the beef there. They're not going to take the beef anywhere through the United States on train, truck, road, or anything like that. So a majority of this is just to get Mexicans beef all the way up there because they're losing billions by not being able to export that beef into the United States. So now Canada has raised their hand and said, hey, we'll take a deal as they import a big portion or a big percentage of their beef from other countries. Getting it from Mexico is a shorter distance than the countries they're currently getting it from. So they're hoping this will actually bring the beef price down.
Canada and Mexico just pulled off something huge. A brand new trade agreement that doesn't include the United States. Yep. The two neighbors of America are teaming up and Washington is left out of the room. What does this mean for Canada, for Mexico, and the future of North America? Let's break it down. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into a story that is shaking up global trade. Canada and Mexico signing a fresh deal that completely bypasses the US. Think about that. For decades, Washington dictated the terms of North American trade. But now, with Minister Mark Carney leading Canada's charge, that script has flipped. So, what is in this new Canada-Mexico trade deal? Well, it's designed to expand energy cooperation, including Canadian LNG exports flowing south, strengthen auto manufacturing supply chains between the two countries, bypassing US tariffs, boost agricultural trade. Mexico gets Canadian grains, Canada gets more Mexican produce. And here is the kicker. They are pushing for a joint digital economy zone, encouraging tech companies to set up shop in Canada or Mexico, not the US.
Today, we're beginning a new era of elevated cooperation with a comprehensive strategic partnership. We will scale up our engagement in foreign affairs, in trade and investment, in agriculture, natural resources, in energy, finance, health, the environment, and public safety and security. Canada is deepening our relationships with our long-standing partners, partners that share our values and aspire to a better, fairer, and more sustainable world. Mexico is central to those missions. And our agreement today will expand and deepen that partnership so that the next 30 years hold even greater promise than the last 30 years have delivered.
Canada and Mexico have decided to go around the U.S. and make their own deal. We don't need y'all. We will go around y'all and we will create our own path to get the goods we need and not pass through the United States at all. Your boy is sick. He's sick because he thought he was going to make all this money off of tariffs, and these countries like, no, we just going to X y'all out of the equation altogether. Yeah.
Mexico just made a move that's going to cost the U.S. $245 billion. In 2025, Mexico and Canada are launching a brand new trade corridor, one that completely bypasses the United States. No border delays, no U.S. tariffs. Just a clean, direct route for goods between two countries without needing American infrastructure or permission. It's called the North Belt Corridor, and it's expected to be fully operational by 2028. But the first phase launches as early as September. And guess what? The U.S. could lose up to $245 billion over 5 years because of this. That's $69 billion in lost taxes, $39 billion in job impact, and $17 billion in lost trade benefits, all because Mexico and Canada realized they don't need a middleman anymore. Let that sink in. While Americans are still in the comments talking about safety and stereotypes, Mexico is out here building economic independence, global partnerships, and long-term strategy. This isn't just about moving goods. This is about shifting power. Mexico is proving they can lead, and it doesn't need validation from the U.S. to do so.
But first, let's talk about why this is happening. For months, Washington has leaned on tariffs, threats, heavy-handed policies. Remember the 25% steel tariffs, the shipping crackdowns, the talk of Canada becoming America's 51st state. Well, Carney and Mexico's leadership said enough is enough. Instead of waiting for US approval, they are building something new together. And honestly, Mark Carney has been crystal clear about this. Canada is diversifying trade from Asia to Europe and now Latin America. Canada is building a network of deals so it never again has to rely on one country. This deal with Mexico is proof of that vision in action. It's about resilience, sovereignty, and future-proofing Canada's economy. So what does this agreement promise to deliver? Lower costs for businesses trading across the two countries, new jobs in industries like green energy and auto manufacturing, and even new tourism opportunities. And here is the spicy part. It positions Canada and Mexico as partners who can trade with each other and with the world without having to go through the United States. I'll show you some clips of Americans reacting to this. Some say it's a betrayal, others say it's the natural consequences of Trump's tariffs and Biden's gridlock. But here is the truth. Canada and Mexico are proving that they can thrive together. The US is no longer the center of gravity.
Canada is playing a dangerous game while Trump is fighting to protect American jobs and industries. Mark Carney is cutting backroom deals with Europe and Mexico, selling out Canadian workers in the process. Now this so-called gas and security deal with the EU, it's not about strength. It gets so exhausting to say the same words again and again. Not strength, it's desperation, it's weakness, it's all these things, and I just wish Carney would do something different. Because, yet again, from this decision, Carney is being blindsided by Trump. The move is already collapsing under its own weight. I'm going to expose how Canada's betrayal is backfiring and why Trump is holding the winning hand. Let's get into it.
With me now is Mark Carney.
Canada wants you to think it's playing this clever diplomacy game. You know, they're parading out these consultations, these things dragging provinces and industries and workers and, you know, pretending the government actually values their input.
Canada deciding to break ties or to stop trading with the United States is not just a small problem. The fact of the matter is Canada is one of those countries that gets along with everybody. In fact, if you look back at history, Canada has only been in majority of the wars that they've been in because they've supported other people, not because they've actually picked a fight with anybody. So for Canada to decide that they don't want to do business with the United States means something really big and significant. Because here's the deal. Canada has literally supported us in everything that we've done. They have been one of our greatest allies. And even just recently, when we had the fires of California, Canada came to our aid and started dousing the fires of California without any ask. They just came and supported us and came to our defense and helped us through some of our most worst times ever. And for us to impose taxes and tariffs on a country that has always supported us is just bad business. And it signifies to the rest of the world that, hey, if America is willing to treat Canada so badly, what would they do to you? Because that's the reality. They have literally crapped on their big brother and basically betrayed one of their greatest allies. And of course, the rest of the world is noticing, and it's going to hurt us in the long run.
So, is this the beginning of a new North American order? One where Canada and Mexico deepen ties while the US watches from the sidelines? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because this could be the start of something massive. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and stick around because you do not want to miss my next video. So YouTube thinks you will like this video over here. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Au revoir.